Yusha goes to the sanctuary in search of treasures, venting his frustration by complaining about how irritated he is that Liam is progressing so quickly, even though the entire training process should be questionable. He knows he won't be able to deceive Liam for much longer, and the only way to keep taking advantage of him is to create more meaningless tasks. By chance, he leans his arm against the wall, triggering a secret mechanism that reveals a mobile knight from the ancient era. To Yasushi, this is perfect for keeping Liam busy and the money flowing. Meanwhile, the evil deity known as a guide is on his usual hunt for negative emotions and travels to Earth, where he finds a man who gets easily offended and furious simply because his Starbucks order wasn't perfect. The guide delights in the taste of this man's negative emotions, but desires something more sophisticated, something truly gourmet. Back in Liam's world, Yasushi has already instructed Liam to repair the ancient mobile knight called Avid as part of his training, and Liam is preparing to do so. Liam practices his master's fake ultimate technique, the Flash, while his butler Brian watches from the side. Although Brian is happy because Avid is a unit of Liam's great-great-grandfather, he is still against the idea, believing that using such an old unit won't bring Liam any real benefits. However, Liam believes that if he can master the oldest unit available, his piloting skills will become among the best. Brian, always meddling, tries to convince him to stop learning this useless technique, calling it a waste of time. But Liam is determined to improve, believing that continuous effort will bring results. Amagi, on the other hand, goes to the place where Avid is stored and expresses her skepticism about Yasushi and his training methods. She doesn't even believe Yasushi is truly a swordsman. However, since Liam ordered her to repair Avid, she has no choice but to do her best to bring that heap of scrap back to life. Soon after, Lieutenant Naz Carlin, an engineer from a weapons factory, arrives with her team on Liam's planet to assist in Avid's restoration. Liam greets her at the airport to wish her good luck. During their conversation, Naz notices Amagi and wonders why an AI doll is standing next to Count. Liam is offended by her reaction and quickly makes it clear that he has every right to own an AI doll and will punish anyone who questions his way of life. However, Liam misinterpreted Naz's reaction, as she is actually a fan of androids and become completely dazzled upon seeing Amagi. She is impressed by Amagi's customized features and even starts touching her inappropriately, nearly lifted her skirt. But Liam stops her just in time, warning her not to behave inappropriately. They then head to the warehouse where Avid is stored. As soon as she sees it, Naz comments that the machine is completely wrecked and suggests Liam buy a new unit instead of wasting money trying to repair that one. Liam firmly refuses, making it clear that the only mobile knight he will pilot is Avid. Naz then points out that restoring the unit would be a massive undertaking, especially since they don't have replacement parts in stock, and Avid's size is much larger than the standard. Additionally, Naz warns that the cost of restoration will be extremely high. However, Liam has money to spare and proposes replacing the old parts with components from the latest models to maximize Avid's performance. Still, since Yasushi instructed that Liam must learn to pilot mobile knights manually, Liam orders Naz to maintain manual controls and remove all assistive functions. Before leaving, he also requests that Naz add some special moves like a rocket punch, where the robot's fist would attach and fly toward the enemy. At that moment, Yasushi arrives at the warehouse to check on Avid's repairs and, upon seeing Naz, can't take his eyes off her. Yasushi falls in love at first sight, finding Naz perfect in all the most inappropriate ways, to the point of getting a nosebleed. He quickly wipes his nose, straightens up, and approaches to introduce himself. However, Naz is so busy talking to Liam that she completely ignores his existence. Yasushi keeps trying, persistently introducing himself and even asking her out, but once again he is ignored. Naz remains focused on arguing with Liam about the impossibility of adding silly special moves to Avid, rejecting all of Yasushi's absurd suggestions without even acknowledging him. To convince Naz, Liam claims that he will give her as much money as she needs for the job. Naz finally accepts, since her original plan from the beginning was to squeeze as much money as possible out of Liam. Yasushi becomes extremely jealous upon seeing Liam and his love at first sight chatting like characters in a romantic drama, and he decides to punish Liam by subjecting him to even more ridiculous and cruel training. This time, he comes up with an evil idea, ordering Liam to train blindfolded from now on. He places Liam in a flowing river, balancing on top of a slippery log. As Liam tries to stay on his feet, Yasushi begins firing dozens of tennis balls at him with a customized ball launcher. Of course, what he's really doing is hurting Liam on purpose for stealing his potential future wife, but he disguises it by claiming that this new training will make Liam a better swordsman. Liam finds his training regime extremely difficult, commenting on how heavy his sword feels with the added weights. Yet, following his master's instructions, He continues practicing, doing his best to use mind's eye vision to dodge the incoming tennis balls. Meanwhile, the pirate commander Goas heads to the prison cells aboard his battleship, where he reveals he has captured several women, including Princess Christiana. He doesn't explain anything to them, but tells Christiana specifically to come with him because they have arrived at their destination, Treasure Island. Goas approaches Christiana, revealing that he wishes to add her to his treasure collection because he finds her so beautiful that his entire body trembles. He drags Christiana to his assistant's experimental room and opens a door to his old pet's chamber, revealing a deformed woman who was violated and transformed into a monster by this cruel pirate. Goas literally throws the woman out of the ship and reveals his intention to make Christiana his new pet. With all the time in the world to torture his new toy, he asks his assistant for suggestions, who proposes cutting off Christiana's legs first to completely disable her. However, Goas thinks of something even more malicious, ripping out Christiana's eyes and implanting them into his palms. Horrified, Christiana looks around and sees dozens of test tubes storing deformed women, realizing that unless a hero comes to save her, her fate is sealed. A few weeks later, Nas completes Avid's repair, adding various customizations according to Liam's orders. However, the work is still not completely finished. Nas brings Liam to Avid's cockpit to show him how to operate the mobile knight. Of course, she removes the top of her outfit. After all, how else would she show Liam her sacred treasures? Liam follows her instructions while averting his gaze and activates the engine. The robot performs a quick scan of Liam, registering him as its pilot, meaning that from now on, only he will be able to operate it. Excited, Liam tries to take his first step, but immediately falls. Nas explains that Avid lacks automatic assist functions like auto balancer, and unlike the newer models, Liam can't simply push a button to move it. However, there's an advantage. According to Nas, if Liam manages to master this old piece of scrap, he'll be able to move it as if it were an extension of his own body. Feeling motivated, Liam gets up and begins walking slowly, balancing the mobile knight with some skill. He takes the unit outside the warehouse, as Nas mentions how important it is to maintain a strong mental image to control the robot. To help him focus, she approaches and adjusts the controls, but accidentally presses her chest against Liam, causing him to form a completely different mental image. And Avid moves at hands as if trying to grope something. The gesture makes Nas immediately realize exactly what Liam is thinking about, though he swears it's not his fault. Meanwhile, Yasushi begins to suspect that Liam is abusing his authority and doing indecent things with his lieutenant inside the cockpit. On the other hand, Brian, moved to tears, is overjoyed to see his master finally interested in a real woman. Enraged, Yasushi starts cursing Liam and subject him to even harsher training. Days pass, but Liam still cannot perform his master's secret technique, and he starts wondering if he lacks the talent for it. Amagi believes the real problem lies with Yasushi's teachings and tells Liam that she has been questioning the master credibility lately. However, Liam, who blindly trusts Yasushi, tries to find a logical explanation to defend him, suggesting that maybe some kind of magic is involved in the secret technique. He deduces that it's not the sword cutting to the logs, but rather magic. Liam focuses his powers into his sword and swings it with the intent to cut the log using his magical energy. By practicing this move repeatedly, month after month, year after year, he finally learns a technique that, technically, never even existed. Now, as an adult, Liam finally wants to demonstrate to Yasushi how much he has learned. He cuts through a wooden log several meters away by simply swinging his sword in its direction. Yasushi cannot believe what he is seeing. His teachings were supposed to have been nothing but a bunch of lies. So why is Liam able to cut the log from within? He is terrified by Liam's power, but keeps a neutral expression, telling him that he still has a long way to go before fully mastering the technique. A few weeks later, Liam is in space aboard his warship with Amagi when he receives a report from one of his subordinates. The report states that Mukai, one of the small abandoned planets in his territory used only for energy production, has been attacked by a pirate fleet. The army stationed at Mukai is engaged in combat with the mobile knights deployed by the pirates, but Liam's subordinate believes the military forces won't hold out much longer due to the small number of soldiers available. Amagi suggests they ambush the pirates by taking advantage of a blind spot at Mukai, using the planet's gravity to their advantage. Liam approves the plan and orders all of his ships to capture the pirates, while he personally heads to the front lines to defend the energy plants. Upon hearing the order, Brian pleads with Liam not to risk his life, but Liam is no coward. Moreover, he considers himself a highly trained swordsman taught by the legendary samurai and wants the Empire to witness the skills he now possesses. Soon after, he boards his mobile knight, Avid, and heads toward Mukai. Attacking the enemies from a blind spot, Liam destroys one mobile knight after another before they even realize his presence. In no time, he significantly reduces the number of enemies. To impress even further, he uses a special move called the beam rifle to fire a plasma ray at one of the enemy pirates. Then, he unleashes a secret technique, the lightning path, destroying dozens of enemies from a distance, scaring the pirates so badly that they begin retreating to their ships. As the enemies retreat, Liam uses another special move called the rocket punch, which is quite effective, though he personally dislikes it. Liam calls Nas at that moment to complain, saying that he wanted a detachable fist, not a missile-shaped hand. Amagi cuts into the call, reporting to Liam that they managed to capture less than 10% of the enemy's ships, as 30% were destroyed and the rest managed to escape. Even so, Liam considers the operation a victory and praises Amagi for doing an excellent job as vice commander.